Hi, I'm Sablan again. Work with the Mariana Islands Nature Alliance in the Northern Mariana Islands. MINA, we're going to talk about the project Tasi Watch, and Tasi means ocean. And the Tasi Watch project is a very near project to Makai Watch. And one of our board members decided, because she heard about Makai Watch, the successes it has in Hawaii, so she wanted to take that idea and start it in Sablan. So hence we came up with the Tasi Watch project. So, but anyway, the Mariana Islands is established. MINA, Mariana Islands Nature Alliance, was established in May 2005 by a group of people that felt the need that there was needed to start a environmental organization. We're the only environmental organization in the CNMI advocating for coral reef conservation. Many of our projects is geared to like coastal rehabilitation projects, like the Oak Gem Rehabilitation Project. That's just to revegetate coastal areas and beaches and to stop, block some vehicular access to the beach. Because oftentimes back in the 80s, there was a lot of truck drivers that were driving their cars on the beaches just for easy access and fishing and picnicking and all sorts of activities. So we also have a teacher camp, and that's to just familiarize a lot of the teachers and students in coral reef, basic coral reef ecology. And we also have the Marine Debris Project, and that's to reduce and establish an island culture of recycling in the CNMI. And we've been very successful with this project. Out of this project came the Adopt-to-Bin program. The Adopt-to-Bin program is aimed to promote a lot of recycling in the islands to reduce litter from making it to the landfill and also to the ocean. And since we originally capped for 7 bins to be fabricated, to be located in all the seven beaches, the demand for the fabricating recycling bins in Sablan grew from 7 to 17 because businesses wanted to sponsor these bins, and that will pay for $1,000 a year to collect trash in all the beaches. So in 2011, we collected about 60,000 pounds just from our bins alone. And so we've been very successful in promoting, and to complete these adoptions, each businesses are required to do 2 beach cleanups per year. And so these are just some of the activities that we've been doing in Lalo, beach cleanups and tree planting. Lalo Bay, local agencies decided to prioritize Lalo Bay as a priority area to promote conservation, to protect the coral reef there. Basically because it has many usages, and 80% of the land in Lalo Bay are locally owned, and it's known to have a good fishing ground. It's a good dive site. It's popular. People there from the area and the other side of the island they go there for family gatherings, picnic, snorkeling, diving, and all sorts of stuff. And it's also rich with history. It's known to have ancient Chamorro villages that are there as well. These areas that are under zones, we just use those for monitoring purposes and to measure our success of the Tasi Watch. So to find out the knowledge of Lalo Bay's users, NOAA and Sun Pacifica decided to do a survey just to understand the attitudes and behaviors of the Lalo Bay users. And apparently they all came up with the same belief that water pollution was a main threat to coral reef. And these are based through personal experiences. Littering and sedimentation were the 2 highest voting in percentages in what people believe that's a big threat to the coral reef, and fishing as well. The people there, they've been witnessing a lot of illegal methods used to go fishing, like One of the laws simply states that you cannot have fish nets of more than 2.5. The size of the net is 2.5. They originally wanted to increase it from 2.5 to 3 inches, but I guess a lot of people were fighting against that because of, it just causes a lot of damages. It's a big net, what we call talakaza. They do net fishing, and that is almost like really just pulling fish with all the bycatches as well. And these are just some of the activities that people believe that were very popular in Lala Bay. And so these are all just, again, through personal experience. So with Tashi Watch, we first started Tashi Watch in January of this year. We came up with 3 different aspects of the program. Learn and Give Back to Conservation is basically training. It's an in-service training program for volunteers like students or individuals of the community that want to come and learn about basic coral reef ecology, environmental issues. And the government agency, they volunteer their time to train the volunteers and the rangers. The Monitor and Applied Conservation, this program is basically just training rangers. We have community members that we hire as rangers, and they patrol and monitor the area. Unfortunately, the law doesn't give us the right to give citations to our rangers, but they act sort of very similar to the National Park Service rangers. It's just the difference is that we don't give citations. They do public awareness also, but primarily it's more on surveillance. Promote and Respect Conservation is basically also known as Environmental Rehabilitation Service, and we deal mainly with the Board of Parole. We work with community members that are total poaching, are caught in fishing, illegal fishing, or even under DOI, they come and do community service. They do tree planting, revegetation, invasive removal, or beach cleanup. And that's the Our Lala campaign, focusing on littering campaign. And one thing about Tashi Watch is that in Lala Bay, there's a lot of littering going on, and we've been focusing our efforts in trying to change the behaviors of our users, because every time they go to picnics, they just leave their trash. So we're trying to change that mentality. Under the governance, Public Law 3-23 is the law that created the Division of Environmental Quality, and they're basically in charge of ensuring the rights of citizens and individuals to the rights to clean air and clean water. And the Public Law 3-47 created the Coastal Resources Office, and they're basically in charge of promoting proper activities, ocean water activities, to ensure that our natural resources are protected. And Public Law 10-57 created the Division of Wildlife and Fish and Wildlife, and they're in charge of protecting the marine and terrestrial animals and habitats. For some reason, the Division of Environmental Quality, they applied for the grant for the Coral Reef Initiative, and they got it. So a lot of the programs and fundings were, instead of going through the Division of Fish and Wildlife, it went through the DQ. And so a lot of our projects, our collaboration efforts are with the Division of Environmental Quality. The challenges for reporting and prosecuting violators. A lot of the laws and regulations are poorly written in the CNMI. They tend to be, I don't know, but a lot of the lawmakers, they just write very poor laws, and it's really hard to really be consistent and really prosecute, to ensure prosecution of violators. So we're having that challenge of whether the laws there that, they met the laws about 3 or 10 times, changing the laws from like 2.5 inches to 3.5 inches. They changed that out so many times that they can't keep track of it. And then, you know, it's just, basically enforcement is having a hard time to really enforce the laws in CNMI. Contact numbers for reporting violations and incidents are either turned off, especially during the weekends. For some reason, I tried to report an incident, but the phone numbers are either turned off or they just don't answer. Like I mentioned earlier, 80% of Lalo Bay are owned by private citizens, but these landowners, they're kind of reluctant to really participate in a lot of our conservation efforts, and they have access to like revegetating areas to take care of the bad soil, soil erosion, and they don't want us to enter their property. So they really don't care about conservation in Lalo Bay. So we're having to deal with them as well. And also, like everybody else's problem, we have many problems. And there's so many things that we want to do, but there's just not enough money to go around. The next steps that I'm going to do is to try and increase our capacity by hiring 4 more rangers to monitor and do more outreach. The rangers are like the volunteers. They're the ones that go out into the community and really teach the users about environmental issues. Instead of just the regular volunteers, it's the rangers that go out and do the work. Develop and enhance the Lalo Bay Environmental Rehabilitation Program. So far, we've worked twice a month with the Board of Parole to get the volunteers, the community members, to come out and do more projects, on-the-ground projects. And we really want to develop this even more and work towards the divisions of youth services as well. We have another organization in the CNMI that focuses its efforts on turtles. They're called Turtle Advocates and Guardians. And they've been buying some surveillance cameras and installing it at different beaches. And one of the beaches that they've been focusing their efforts on is Wing Beach. And they managed to reduce poaching from 3 times a year to completely 0. So we want to do the same thing in Lalo. Work with regulating agencies to develop the standard ticketing system. We don't have a standard ticketing system in the CNMI. It's inconsistent. Nobody knows where the tickets are, and all kinds of problems. So we're going to I'm trying to work with the directors of all 3 agencies to come up with a comprehensive ticketing system so that we can start prosecuting these violators. And that is pretty much it. Susan Moss, any questions?
You mentioned installing surveillance.
Yeah.
Do you run into any logistical things, legality, as far as being legally able to install a camera?
I'm sorry,
Do you run into any logistical problems with surveillance installation, putting in these things? Or are you able to just say, we want to put one here, and we do it? And
no.
or do you have to go through channels?
Tax was able to install Wing Beach. They did that as a pilot. And they've ran into no problems with, they collaborated with the Fish and Wildlife.
Okay.
And stuff, but yeah. So far it's just, we don't want to advertise that we're installing surveillance cameras, so we just basically work with the agencies.
Okay.
Yes?
So you didn't advertise that you were putting the cameras in?
No.
Sorry, what so you didn't advertise that you were putting them in, because for us they would be destroyed as soon as we put them anywhere.
The Fish and Wildlife didn't see it was necessary because, for one thing, the Fish and Wildlife doesn't do is share their data, and they don't even put them out in the paper, the vendors. So installing those cameras they just basically thought it was very good. It's a good idea. So they went ahead. But regardless, even though it would have been inappropriate and not guaranteed full prosecution, but like enforcement is very weak in the CNMI. It's basically, the goal there is to stop poaching, whether or not they're being prosecuted, but the fact of the matter is that the poaching stopped. Yes?
If the cameras weren't advertised so that people knew that they were there, how did it stop poaching?
They get caught eventually. Fish and Wildlife. They get a slap on the
They
wrist.
just didn't know how they got caught.
Huh?
They just didn't know how they got caught.
They assume that they're being watched physically, but not by cameras.
Okay, I understand.
Yes, sir.
You were saying that your rangers don't have enforcement authority. Who does have the actual enforcement?
It's the agencies, like DEQ, for example, they're in charge of enforcing the litter law, Fish and Wildlife for illegal fishing activities, coastal resources and watercraft activities. But unfortunately, there is no, practically enforcement efforts is nil. And that's why I've been working very hard with the directors to really push for enforcement. But before we started the enforcement efforts, they need to keep their ticketing system in place, which we don't have.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Sam.